Hello, and welcome to Season 2 of Super Pros Bros. I'm Player 1, or Player 2, Eli, and with me as always is...
Player 2, I mean 1, Ike. And, Brosidon, did you know that this pod is on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify?
I did not bromacia. Are those the same places the people could?
Like,
Comment,
share?
and subscribe?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Fancy.
In the pants. That's where I keep my fancy.
Is it a fancy party? Is it a party in your pants?
Fancy pants party.
We're gonna get off this. Anyway, how have things been for you? What's been going on?
Let me see. When's the last time we recorded? It's probably like close to a month ago, yeah?
Just about.
Yeah. So went to regional Magic Championship in Dallas. Was one win short. Granted, it came like matches before the end of the tournament, but I was one win short from qualifying to go to the Pro Tour in Barcelona, which bummer. However, the nicest, chadliest of boys that I know won the tournament, and it was very awesome to see someone who is dedicated to the game in seemingly not a casual way, but you always look at him and you're like, oh, he's such a sweet guy. I'll bet he's like the way he plays the game is very casually. Like he doesn't put in that many hours, but the reality is he does put in a lot of hours. He just doesn't approach it as aggressively as some people do. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of gives you a false impression. And just the overall nicest guy. Wouldn't say, boo to a ghost, would always help everybody out, is always wants the rules to be applied, but fairly. Like he doesn't he's not going to screw himself over and always give his opponent the edge effectively, but he definitely is going to give everybody a fair shake. And he got to win the whole entire tournament. It was fucking rad. Got to be there and lose my shit proper to make him feel like he had accomplished something.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was lovely. It was great. Proud of you, Bradley. And then now I'm on summer break for better part of 2 months, and this week I've been slacking off to really set it right, but as of Monday I am going to start doing a couch to a 5K training regimen, as long as my knees can fucking take it anyway. Only awkward thing I realized is I live nowhere near anywhere I can run, so I have to walk for 20 minutes so that I can run for 30 minutes and walk back, which is kind of an L, but
I mean, you could think of that or the fast track to the W.
There you go.
Damn, man.
So, I'm trying to think, anything else happen? Nothing major. I did have, so, as told previously to my co-host, but now to you, the listener, while at Dallas, had a moment. So the night before my friend Bradley wins the tournament, we're out eating with Bradley and co. We go out to my favorite new kind of dining styled establishment that I found in many major metropolitan areas, where they will have a bunch of upscale.
It's an upscale food court.
It's an upscale food court. Each one is its own individual restaurant with good identity, good food. You go up, you buy stuff, and there's usually a beer or a bar present as well, and then a bunch of places where you can sit and eat. So everybody, nobody has to be like, I want this, no, I want that, and there's no compromise. You just both get what you want.
Go get you want.
It's great. It makes for a good vibe and all that shit. So go out, get great food, come back, go to sleep. The night before, I had difficulty sleeping and woke up at 4:30 a.m. for an hour. Which fucking sucked. Mm-hmm. This night, I woke up probably about the same time, maybe a bit earlier. I won't know because I didn't see a fucking clock. Because all I saw was the dark din of the bathroom as I woke up, ass on fucking porcelain. Curious as to why, before my soul left my body, I took the Browns to the Super Bowl in immediate fashion. I talked to a man about a horse and fast. All in the dark. All as I woke.
Montezuma had his revenge.
Revenge! So I just wake up just like speaking to God and just like perplexed as to why, but at least being like, oh, okay, well, at least the cheeks are in porcelain. We good. And then after the event was over, I found out that the porcelain I had been sitting on was not the throne. It was the deck, if you will, the sidebar to the shower. And so I had not taken my kids to the pool as much as I had to an empty vessel with which they were not supposed to reside. And at the grand hour of I don't know if the fuck when, got to clean that up so my roommates didn't wake up to a pile of what the fuck in the shower. And that was my Sunday. Also on this that was my Sunday morning. On this same trip, I'm going for the record here, 5 delays in 2 flights.
Nailed it.
Good job, me. Woo! What about you?
A lot of my spare time recently, I can sum up with one word, and that is Diablo. I've been playing an absolute dick ton of Diablo 4 with a bunch of friends. It's been a good time. We actually got to see each other.
You did.
At a funeral. Sad, not bad.
No.
Grandmother was ancient. She was in hospice. That really only ends one way.
I mean, the time before you saw her, she asked you a particular question.
Yeah. I asked her anything I can do for you, assuming like I'd like more tea, fluff a pillow. She said you could let me die. Just, holy shit.
Didn't she like hold up a pillow or something?
No, but I mean that's one step shy of saying please smother me to death. Like it's very close.
Very interesting for a 93-year-old lady to ask her. How old were you at the time?
This is like a year and a half ago, so 28.
20-year-old grandson to help her free herself from this mortal coil.
Jesus Christ.
Thanks, Scams.
That is
great seeing you too.
So far above my pay grade, Grandma. R.I.P. You awesome old bat.
Yeah. Love you lots. See you on the other side, Kathleen.
Yep. I mean, the joke that kind of made me giggle is like, of course she wanted to fucking die. She has a harem waiting for her.
Oh, yeah. So for those of you that don't have any insight into our lives, our grandmother married not once, not twice, but three times. And was going for number 4.
God bless her. It's still like 85 plus. She's still actively dating.
Yeah.
Chad. Like, that's mad respect.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sad, not bad, and excuse to see some family, which was cool.
Yep.
Otherwise, yeah, a lot of life is the same. But we're getting there. It's been warm up here, and I hate it. On my cloud cover back. I'm the only person in Seattle that actively hates the sun.
Yeah, we stole it, and I'm apparently... It's really weird. So the other week at work, this lady, who I'm so... Like, she's a good person, but holy fuck, I'm so glad we went on break so I didn't shout at her in the workplace. Because she was just saying stupid shit left, right, and center. Like, she's somebody that lived in Europe for a while, and so dislikes the U.S. for a lot of stuff we do. Which is fair.
There's
but
plenty of reason to hate the place, sure.
There's plenty of reason. We're not the best compared to, like, Denmark. I get it. We do a lot of things wrong. We do plenty of things right, and also, it's not, like, binary. We do so much better than the rest of the world, so maybe shut the fuck up. And it's every day with this shit. Blah, blah, blah. Denmark. It's like, alright, fucking got it. Like, neat. Like, none of these kids get to move there, so all you're doing is, like, telling them where they live is poo. Awesome. Also, some of it's wrong. Also, the one that is just the shit kicker that Eli, you would have thrown something at her is last summer, early to all summer, was a fucking death zone. It was 100-something degrees. It fucking sucked ass here and everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's June. It's the beginning of June. and it's cloud cover, light sprinkles,
Mhm.
aka basically goat weather. It's just like
Pretty solid.
fucking perfect. It's like if it rains, it's a small sprinkle, good for the plants. Not so much you can like slows up traffic or makes it impossible to drive. You could probably get away with not using windshield wipers and drive fine. Like that
Yeah.
level of sprinkle, like
Yeah.
fucking nothing. And she's moaning about how the weather's not right. It should be different. It's like, shut the fuck up. Also, I found out that's just not a thing. Apparently in LA, it's supposed to be like this every year. It's supposed to be like a cloudy early June. That's the way it traditionally goes. So not only is she wrong that it shouldn't be that way, it's also the dumbest thing to complain about when the planet is in a drought.
Yes. Agree.
Anyway,
It'd be crazy.
fantastic. A million reasons why I love being on summer break. Speaking
Anyways,
of a million things we love.
You know what? That's better than what I was gonna fucking force. Um, so what we've got today to talk about is violence.
A little bit of ultra violence.
Exactly. So there was a question posed on Reddit because occasionally good things do come out of that public forum.
Lots
That
of
is a toilet.
things could come out of it. Ask
Okay.
Reddit is a gem. I will die on that hill.
It can be.
I mean, questions are going to be dumb here and there, but it's not.
I'm adding that asterisk.
Okay, sure.
Anyway,
I love you, Ask Reddit.
you're allowed to love it. I'm allowed to say it makes some poopy diaper mess every now and again.
I didn't hear
Anyway.
that, Ask Reddit. They're perfect.
Stop whispering, you freak.
I don't know. I'm curious to see when I edit this how much that's coming up.
Not much, because I can't discern what you're saying. I just know that you're speaking. Anyway, so someone posed, what are the best fight scenes? And so we got to mulling it over a bit. And so we broke down a number of terrific fight scenes for various different reasons. Because there's a lot of fight scenes that do different things. Like, you wouldn't compare a grand fucking battle between armies to a duel. They're just... It's not the same thing. It's not the same game. So we broke down to a number of interesting categories, fight scenes that we think fill an interesting niche. So with dialogue, vibes, choreography, the music usage, what stands out the most is unique, what advances or tells a story the best, some of the most realistic, and ones with just the best gobsmacking visuals.
Yeah.
So, Isaac, would you mind taking us from the top of dialogue?
So I'm a huge fan of dialogue, so this one was rough for me. Initially, I was thinking it was going to be some Doc Holliday from the movie Tombstone, which if you haven't seen, bangers all the way down. It's definitely Val Kilmer's best performance. He just gets to fucking chew up the celluloid and just have every scene be about him and just have it be spot on. It's fucking amazing. Wrote it in, moved on, and then it just hit me. It's the best one. I'm sorry, Doc. I'm sorry, Val. It's the Hound versus Polivar in the tavern in like season 5?
3, I think.
Oh, it's a 3? Okay, good. It's one
I
of the
think
good
it's
seasons.
fairly early.
Yeah. Either which way. Banger scene. You get to have the Hound throw dicks, but like say bars and throw dicks, basically, which is just dope. Comes across some men after he left the Kingsguard and just shows him what year it is in every of the best fashions. Highly recommend. In fact, I think it's gonna be a lot of links, but should I link every scene below if we can?
Maybe? It's a lot of links.
It's a lot of links. I might try though. Anyway, that is going to be my pick, as it is just. I mean, having the line, "I think I'll have 2 chickens," be like predicated before a fight. It's fucking good. And when it's not like hokey, when you're just like, like he said 2 chickens, like fuck, like.
Just to take you guys beer.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like you make me thirsty, and he just takes his beer in his face and just eye fucks him
Gets
as he
to
drinks it.
use food as like ramp up. I think that's like one of my favorite things is when it's like food, like when food stands in as another thing. You see this a
Yeah.
lot in Quentin Tarantino movies. Like, can I have a bite of your burger? Can I drink some of your drink?
This
It's like,
is a tasty
yeah,
burger.
like it says a lot. And like this one, the
Whoa, we're
same.
not talking about food, are we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is great. What you got, bro?
A classic, a bit of a phone it in, but it's too good to not. It's a classic for a reason, and it's the cliffside duel between Inigo Montoya and Wesley in The Princess Bride.
So he
Because
didn't kill his father.
don't start. It's such a wonderful kind of respectable bout from like where it's just Wesley's kind of annoyed crawling up a cliff and some Spaniard at the top is just talking down at him. It's like
I
this
hate
is
waiting.
hard. And then just
What if I gave you my word as a Spaniard? No good.
no good. I've known too many Spaniards. And like just from that, it sets the right tone, and then uh, he doesn't want and Inigo's arrogance. He doesn't want the duel to end too quickly,
Yeah.
so he uses his offhand. And so is Wesley.
I'll have
for
to
some
fight him left-handed.
Yeah, like Wesley, I guess, out of respect for making it easy to crawl up the cliff, uses his left hand.
Yeah, so you get to have like the double feint.
Yeah. They're both very complimentary. Just you are wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just like yeah. So it's such great respectful back and forth. It's so good.
It's like it's watching two champions spar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really what it is. Like yeah, it's great. No notes. It's great.
Next up, we have the vibes category. And for this, it's just like the way it makes you feel. It's like, to give definition to the way we were thinking about it, the way it makes you feel, the kind of unspoken, almost not intelligible, but like it's hard to put into words why this is busted. It just makes you feel a certain way. And what you got for this one, bro?
I love the show Mob Psycho 100. If you haven't watched it, it's done. It's 3 seasons. It's fucking phenomenal. I think it's a great show. There is one of the antagonists is a guy who teleports. And the way they show it is awesome. Because there's no, like, transition. It's just, boom, new frame. Boom, he's in a new place. Boom, boom, boom. And they play this same kind of audio, just whomp. And it's just new frame, new frame, new frame. And so it's a bunch of people trying to fight a guy who just blinks ad nauseum. And it's so awesome. Like, especially because he starts the fight just knowing he is the shit.
Mm-hmm.
But because he's so proud of himself, the guy he's fighting is Hanazawa-kun, and he used to think like that until he realized I'm just a dickhead with magic. And so he starts to finally fucking figure out Ryo, who can teleport, and it's so dope. Like, it's so dope. Because most things that do teleportation, they give it some kind of flair and dramatic effect, and there's something kind of unsettling about it just being instant with no cues. Like, he's just suddenly in front of you. He's suddenly at the top of a building. He's suddenly in the fucking sky. Like, that's so good. Also, the Studio Bones just makes banging animation. Like, their set work is so great, and buildings start blowing up and shit. It's just awesome to watch. Like, as much as the character animation of that show is kind of goofy and feels low budget, it's like they saved up for fight scenes. Like, that's where the budget went. What about you?
I am a huge sucker for. I'm a Tarantino fan, ride or die. I'm going to be remiss when he's makes his next movie, which is supposedly going to be his last, and I do believe he's got enough on his plate that he wants to do that it will be his last. So I cannot wait, and will be sad when that day comes. However, he did leave us with one of my favorite fights of all time in Kill Bill, which is Beatrice Kiddo versus the Crazy 88. this is just Quentin getting to have his most like Japanese samurai Americanized thing happen. And he
Yeah.
really just like it's so amazing. It's done every little aspect of it, the way it ends, the way it starts, the sound, it's all bangs like the whole way down. It's
Yeah.
so great. It's just so much fun. It's paying such good deference. You get to have the awesome like stop in the like towards like the end of the like if it's a 3 act fight towards the end of the second act or the beginning of
Mhm.
the third, you get to have Beatrice realize she's fighting against a kid and spank him and send him home because she's like she's a mom.
Yeah.
Like at heart it's just like it's adorably stupid, but it tracks also. I don't know, it's just like so good. It's
It's such an odd, almost non sequitur to the fight
yeah.
that it's like, ah, it's almost jarring in a great way.
Yeah. It doesn't feel wrong. It feels right in the most peculiar fashion. It's
Yeah.
just so good. You you get to have. Also, I don't. I guess it depends how much you include the before, but like the before scene is them explaining, and it's like the big bad wears a Kato mask. It's just like little dumb things are just so great in it. Like the screaming, the fact that when she wins the fight, she tells everybody that is still alive that they can leave with their lives, but to leave their limbs behind because they're hers now, which is like fucking metal. Just like the whole thing, it's just like turns out Quentin Tarantino knows film and
Yeah.
knows like bloody action sequences and just took all the best he'd ever seen, compiled it into his, computer that's a brain, and this is what came out. And
An added spray effect.
yeah, yeah.
Everything is a sprinkler.
Apparently, fun fact, the reason we have that is because, like, somebody postulated, and I haven't done enough research, but I wouldn't be surprised, is the reason that we have that is supposedly from Seven Samurai, where one of the earlier fights with Junbei, he, like, has, like, has the classic, like, samurai, they both look
Mhm.
at each other, quick draw, and then that happens. That wasn't supposed to happen. It was a malfunction on the prop.
Huh.
And that was that internet
And
historians
that just
first time like chronologically seeing that ever happen. So given it's Akira Kurosawa, the amount of deference paid and the visual that it was at the time is why we have it to this day, or at least for that long period of time, and now kind of
now
done an homage is
now it's like an
because
anime trope and everything. Just the
yeah, it's
yeah.
from Akira Kurosawa
Huh.
doing that back in the whenevers because of a prop malfunction.
Huh. Interesting. Task failed successfully, I guess.
Scenes that weren't a malfunction, however, were our next category, which is choreography. Bro, what you got for choreography?
Anytime Iko Uwais is on screen, on screen, on s- on screen,
On screen, he
uh,
makes me scream because I'm so excited.
yes, um, that man is a fucking magician. Like I got everything he's in. The choreography is great, and I think best, the best emblematic fight of that I can think of is in the first movie of the raid, where Rama is fighting four guys at the end of a hallway that have machetes,
As you do.
as one does. And what I love about it too, for a couple of reasons, is one is that he doesn't just try to fight from the very get go. He tries to fucking bail. Like he's out of guns. He doesn't have his baton anymore. He's unarmed,
Yeah.
and so his first response is "fuck no," which I just it's you don't think about it, but I really like it.
I
Because
mean,
that's the appropriate move.
yeah, I was like back to. I remember taking you to martial arts class when you were in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and your sensei being like, what's the first thing if you can? What's the first thing you should do? It's like get out, just like
Yep.
leave the situation.
You
That means
can't
running.
lose a fight if
running.
you don't participate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can't get beat to shit if you don't fight. And then when you have to fight, fucking Rama just throws down, which is excellent. And just the choreography is so clean, and they do such a good thing with people being out of frame, coming back in like surprise Rama, and that's such a good like you don't see them as the audience, he can't see them either. It's so fluid. It's so good. Like, the whole movie is a goddamn masterclass on how choreography should look, in my opinion. Like, yes, it's over the top. Like, yes, that's not how a real fight looks necessarily. Holy fuck, does it look good. It's so fluid. It's so good. It's got the right amount of, like, blood bruising, skin tearing, etc. Ah, so good. So good. I love it so much. What about you? What is your top?
When it comes to
good
choreography, you can't get much better than the perceived oneer from Kingsman, like the church scene, Freebird, however you want to typify it.
Yeah.
When we first see like what the app can do, so fucking awesome. It's so cathartic. The visuals, the sound, it's such a culmination of just genius choreography. To do all of that, it was just like top notch. I'm including as many of these links before YouTube explodes on me. And this one is, I think, one of the ones that just like is probably the top, just because it hits all the categories. If we were lofting up one fight, I might have to pick this one just because it just like is so great. The speed, the ramp, the music, the everything. And the genius of making it look like a oneer when it's not a oneer, because it could not have been a oneer. There's like, they don't have enough stunt doubles that can take these kind of hits in the world. Not and get up that fast. No. They did a lot of great blocking, which makes this also, fit in the choreography. So for a oneer, as most of you might assume, incorrectly so, is a shot that happens in one take. You start, you end, there's no cuts, but you're not splicing multiple shots into one continuous take. It's just the one scene that it was recorded. So think of like, filming a play is a oneer. You're doing it in one shot.
Yep.
This one makes you think it's a oneer because of the great choreography and camera work where they fit in these wipes where you push in and like some guy will fall in front of the frame wearing like a black jacket or a white shirt, a solid color that then they can match. They can they can go cut and then bring that guy back or bring that color back and put that in front of the camera and then wipe and then go back to the scene. Taking very careful and again, impressive, taking very careful note of where everybody is, because you will not see somebody fall and somebody in the background's in the wrong spot. They're always in the right spot. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
and
so the cinematography in that scene is exceptional.
So I would argue it might actually be harder to do this than it would in one, because you have to keep everybody in the background, in the foreground, everything in the right place, so it's not like off. Yeah. It's so fucking amazing. I can't put it into words. If it wasn't such a choreographed masterpiece, I would say this deserves to be in like vibes or in a different category, but it is just choreography to the max. So.
I also just appreciate that he constantly changes weapon. Like, he shoots people, runs at a bolt. He just hucks the gun at someone.
Yeah.
Like,
they make more bullets,
Nope. Magnum. That's one of the few movie fights I've just gone like, I just want to watch that fight again. It's so good.
Oh, it's all-time banger. And now, if you click in the links in the description, you can.
Haha. So what do you got on our next category?
What's the next category?
We got sound and music. What stands out to you?
Sound. For me, I can't ever think of a better musical fight. And it's not like it's used great in the fight. It's just the song and the ramp up to the fight is so perfect for the Jinx versus Echo fight in season 1 of Arcane. It's the song is busted, the kind of flashback sequence, and then the fight itself. They're all metal. They're a little bit interchangeable. They're all kind of their own little pocket, but Jesus, and just right in a row, it's just perfection.
Yep, my brain is starting to play it. I am now covered in goosebumps. God damn it. Yep. And I appreciate that there's so much time, the wait. And then just the snap fight. It's very quick.
Yeah. And the fight is like, it shows, one of the cool things it does is it shows history between the two, and it shows how
The
one
growth.
person remembers and one person is not the person who they were, so they don't remember it, but they still fight the same. So in like this is why this is why effectively I would say to students, this is why history matters, because one person remembers it and the other person doesn't. She doesn't remember them fighting. She doesn't know that this played out, like via her
Well,
psychosis or whatever.
no, she does.
Okay, she just doesn't
She
play
she
accordingly.
hasn't adapted to it being new. Like she only remembers. She doesn't accept that Echo is stronger now, and can actually make the jump.
So the sequence pans back and it uses this previously known information to both of them, but Echo kind of plays around, plays around the assumed meta and circumvents her fighting style and is able to overcome, which is really cool. And it shows kind of showing growth and showing change. You love to see.
Yeah,
All the while, banger music, great soundtrack.
yeah. And what I also love is they do different visuals for Echo in this show. Like he gets his own unique art style, as well as I'd argue his own unique kind of soundtrack. Echo gets a bunch of rap, and there isn't really much rap in the rest of the show. Like he gets a very interesting style. I need to stop before I go on an arcane diatribe. Anyway, my choice is actually a scene I forgot how much of a banger it is. It's the kitchen brawl in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And what I had never appreciated is how good the music surrounding it is, because it's more nuanced than you think. Initially, so there's effectively three songs used, or three variations of music used. And so there is When They Can See Each Other, or When They Can't See Each Other, when they know they're around, they just don't know where. It plays this very suspenseful, like, you're executing a heist kind of song. This backtrack.
Mm-hmm.
When they're shooting at each other, it's just this drum line. It's just this percussive, and they're just blowing holes in the walls and shit. And once they actually start the fist fight, and what amounts to effectively just property damage with human bodies, it starts playing Express Yourself. But it bounces between the suspense and the percussion twice, because they lose track of each other. And it's really subtle, but it's such a neat little detail that I'd never appreciated. It's so cool. Like, it's just so cool. It's very underspoken. It just adds to it. And I also love that they're using percussion for guns.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very fitting. And I also I love how this scene ends. And as goofy as the actual fighting of the scene is, because it really is them throwing each other into walls and furniture, which is just fun to watch. It's not effective. It's not how you fight people. But it is fun to just destroy a room. The fight does end on such a great note, where it finally goes quiet, and he just can't do it.
Well, she can't do it either.
Yeah, but she's like angry. Like, he's the first one to put the gun down.
Yeah.
And she can't take advantage of it. And she knows she can't.
Yeah, she gives the old, pick it back up. He's like, nah.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Alright, but next, what do we got in terms of being unique?
So the way I kind of typified this in our notes was not only being unique, but showing either being unique in its like fighting or improvising, kind of giving it its own kind of area. And I very much focused on the latter kind of definition of improvisation. Improvisation. There we go. I'm saying words real weird today. And I couldn't really pick one in particular, but basically any movie in the Bourne trilogy really showcased, that kind of spy genius that I really like. Everybody loves a good James Bond, like, I'm better than you and I fucked your wife, like, kind of mentality. But I really dig the kind of, I don't have a weapon, oh, here's a newspaper, a la the second, or no, that's the third Bourne film, Or in the second one, well, you've got a knife, but I've got a hand towel. It's like, I fuck with that. That's pretty fucking dope. Being just like, all right, this is what I have. Here we go.
Yeah.
Kind of utilizing that Krav Maga, kind of headspace. And so big fan of that. You can basically pick any of them. I think the most iconic one, and maybe this is the one I'll link, is the bathroom fight in the second one. But they're all really good. It showcases a very, very awesome mind when it comes to whoever they paid to like be fight coordinator, of just like, how could we do this? How can we showcase their abilities without just giving them like sick guns like a la Q or something like that? It's like, nah, I think it's more impressive, when people are able to do more with less than we're able to do with more. It's like,
Yeah.
What about you? What's your favorite one for?
I went very much the other direction, and I went.
I mean, it hits
novel
both.
Fight.
It
does fit both.
To be fair.
I love Everything Everywhere All at Once, and the fight in The Office is just outstanding when it's Michelle Yeoh's character against like the agents.
Yeah.
And the preposterous ways that people are trying to do another jump. And it just becomes a fight over effectively butt plug.
Can I shove this thing
trophies.
up my ass?
Yeah, and it's just the fact that it ends with someone dive bombing it, fucking cheek spread from out of frame. It's just.
Well, the best part is the way she finishes the fight is she just like pulls butt plugs out of their ass. Just like,
It's such a. I can't do it justice. It's so preposterous.
Oh, it's gonna be in the details. Feel free to watch.
Yeah, I can't. I lack the words to do it the appropriate justice. I don't know that they exist.
Yeah,
in the
I don't
English
know
language.
that there are words.
Like, it's.
Can you imagine doing the book version of that movie? Because that
No, I
exists
cannot.
somewhere. And then she grabbed the dildo from their bunghole, and they collapsed,
yoink.
defeated.
Like, it's just. I don't know what they fucking pumped through the vents to the writer's room for this film. Like, I don't know how much
But I would like some.
aerosolized LSD they just like made them breathe. But goddamn,
It was the right amount.
yeah, the sweet spot on that formula. But yeah, it's just, oh my god, and yeah, I still can't get over it. It's the same movie that has some wonderful emotional messaging, and then you've got dive bombing a butt plug in the same film. Like, what the fuck?
As you should.
As one does.
The American way.
Get me off this ride.
Yeah, let's advance this podcast to the next segment where we talk about advancing or telling a story within the fight. And you've got one that I have never heard of but saw listed. So I'm curious to know more.
There is a fantastic series called The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie.
And Fitch.
And I'm sure he smells very nice.
Nice.
Thank you. And so there is a wonderful fight set up between this kind of he is such an odd character. So Logan Nine Fingers, the quick TLDR, so he's missing a finger. He's called the Bloody Nine as a result. That's like his dope barbarian name, and he's basically the fucking boogeyman. Like, don't fuck with Nine Fingers. Like, he's the Bloody Nine. Like, he's the boogeyman you tell your kids about.
He's the Baba Yaga before there was a Yaga.
Yeah, exactly. Though that's really not what that means. John Wick has forever fucked up how people believe what the Baba Yaga is. Anyway, but what's funny is that most of the time you see him in the book, he's not that scary. Like, he's not this crazy warborn barbarian. He's fairly sane and cogent and, not gonna say docile, that's not quite right, but
Collected?
like he looks to avoid conflict. He's not trying to start fights. Like, but people are afraid of him. And then he basically has like he has moments he disassociates and becomes the Bloody Nine, which fucks up everyone. Nobody is safe from the Bloody Nine. Like pain doesn't exist to this thing. Nothing. He just tears it up. Like, and so there is this monstrosity called the Feared, who is this big, basically undead monster, like Hulk. He's this giant, broad-shouldered thing that's like walking around in these steel plates that you use to fortify a building, not a person. And there's basically this deal made where they're going to have a contest of champions. And Logan gets effectively strong-armed into it. They're like, you're fucking doing this. Because no one else is fighting that monster. He's like, okay. And for a quick reference on scope of this thing, it hands him back a sword and he goes, keep your toothpick. Like, because it gets to decide the weapons. And Logan goes, God, I hope he doesn't call it a fist fight. He just hands him back like a sword and he goes, keep your toothpick, human. It's like, Jesus Christ.
This is what Fenris says?
Yeah, this is what the Feared says, is just keep your toothpick. Like, Jesus. And Logan fights, and Logan's a competent fighter, and then he shifts eventually because he gets desperate.
Because he's gotta.
Because
he's afeared?
He's very afraid. Because he get the fuck beat out of him. And conveniently, his friends are off fucking with the witch, who is hedging their bets. And once the Feared isn't magically made winning, the Bloody Nine kicks the shit out of him, and then decides we're not done. So he kills him, and then for the king who made this fight happen, he climbs the side of a building and runs him down to kill him.
As you do.
As you do. He just doesn't give a fuck. And then basically comes back to and is like, what have I done?
Solve the problem and start another?
Yeah, exactly. And that's basically Logan's forever plight, is he can't, because of that, because of effectively his dissociative rep, he can't get away from his problems. Because there keeps being more, and violence keeps following him. He can't get out. And he keeps going back because he thinks he's supposed to help solve it because he started some of these problems, and by showing back up, he makes more. It's really sad in a way. But yeah. Fight absolutely slaps. And it's so long set up that you know it's happening. It's like, oh shit, here we go.
So page turner, was it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Joe Abercrombie has a couple very good where you know they're coming and they're still exquisite. He does one in his standalone novel that I read that it's just like, you know they're gonna fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because he sets up these two champions and they just run into each other. They never get to know each other's names. They don't know about one another. They just happen to fight each other in the fight. They're like, I see you. Fuck yeah, buddy. And they're into it. They just... So, what about you?
It's two jocks being like, how much can you bench?
Pretty much. One dude uses two swords. The guy uses this giant sword. And the guy who's dual wielding thinks it's ridiculous. And then the dude moves way faster than he gives him credit for. He's like, oh, fuck, he's legit. Sweet. He's pumped. Because he finally found an equal in a fight.
So I was having trouble with this category, and thankfully my co-host in Brohammer here was able to help nail this down for me. It's Guts versus Griffith in the original manga. This is a two-parter. So they for those of you that have read it, and this is not that much of a spoiler territory, as it's old as shit, and also this is relatively early on in the series. In the initial fight, Guts is left battlefield as a mercenary with money, and he's just kind of walking along. Griffith, who basically runs a merc company, his men are chilling off to the side, and the mercs see Guts, knowing that he got gold for killing one of their comrades, and their focus is mostly on the gold, not avenging their comrade at all.
Which, money.
Mercs love them. So they go down to rob him. That goes real bad because Guts is a fucking monster, even at however young. I think he's supposed to be like
14
15
or something.
Yeah, this is this kid. He's still just like fuck shit left, right, and center. Griffith ends up getting involved to save his men and kind of deal with the issue. And there's a little bit of repartee, but mostly it's Griffith just running a clinic on Guts, showing him like what it is to be a true swordsman as opposed to just be a brute with a big thing of iron.
Yeah.
In the next time, 3 to 4 years later, Guts has become Griffith's right-hand man and strikes out to make a name for himself after Griffith is like kind of edging towards backdoor becoming the king of the land.
Yeah.
And Griffith's not about it. Griffith chooses to fight with him. However, this kind of tells a story in the difference between the fights and the outcome. Because initially, Griffith is just doing this thing. Like, is in the moment, I need to beat this guy to keep my people safe. Guts has all this baggage and, mental bullshit going on.
Yeah.
Moving forward, we've got a situation where Guts' mind is very, quiet. Clear. Yeah, it's very clear. He's gotten to become, he understands what he wants to do in life. He has a very set and stable mind frame. He's not excited about leaving, but he feels like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
he wants...
I'm sorry, quick. It's the first time Guts has a sense of identity that is his own.
Yeah. He's no longer... Yeah, initially when we first find him, he's unsure of who he even is. All he's doing is carrying baggage of how his life sucked, and...
Because there's a lot of it.
There's a lot. And there still is a lot. It doesn't get dealt with forever. But, in this circumstance, he has his, like Eli was saying, he has his own identity. He wants to very much do this thing for his own betterment. He's doing something for himself finally. Yeah. And Griffith is, one, he's got a lot going on in his life, but he also very much, he's doing this out of need. He can't have his guy leaving. So it's kind of this ulterior motive. It's not where his focus is. And also, unlucky for him, he's been kind of in the commander's box.
He's been politicking.
Yeah, he's been politicking. He's been plotting. And he hasn't been doing fighting. And throughout the whole entire series, one of the things we've constantly been seeing is Guts just like kind of practicing. Just going out to a ledge and swinging his sword up and down for like an indefinite amount of time.
Yeah.
And you get to see this really pay off and come to a head as the second time they fight when Guts wins because he, one, knows what he's doing, his mind is clear, and also it's, kind of changing the guard, and just all the culmination of all of this into this very succinct one stroke moment.
Yeah. And what I kind of like most about it too is it makes Griffith realize he was lying to himself. Griffith makes the cardinal sin of believing that power is better than relationship, and realizes he's absolutely not right way too late.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't admit it to himself because he can't be wrong. I have given way too much thought about character study of that manga.
Or just enough.
Just enough. So good. Alright. On the home stretch here, we gotta hit it with the realistic category. Where the fights that... they hurt because, well, they can happen. No over-dramatization, or at least very minimal dramatization.
Or in my case, legitimately just did happen. So the one I've got is the PTSD in, Inducer, Saving Private Ryan, Omaha Beach scene. I cannot link it because it's so goddamn long, but I guarantee if you YouTube that shit, it'll come up in droves. For those of you that don't know the kind of thing I'm alluding to, when Saving Private Ryan came out, was a box office banger, and it ended up being, there were so many World War II vets that went to see it to make sure it was realistic, I don't want them showing my war, blah, blah, blah. And they left freaking the fuck out after just the opener because Spielberg nailed it. It was so realistic that it was giving hardened World War II veterans who had seen, assumedly, World War II movies their whole entire life, flashbacks to where they had to leave the theater. And I believe it started a Veteran Affairs call line that I hope and believe still exists to this day. It's that good. It's that realistic. Yeah. There's a lot of things they nailed. One of the things I didn't realize in the Saving Private Ryan scene, when they finally make it up the beach and they're cleaning out the bunkers, a couple guys come out speaking a language that is not given a subtitle. Granted, I believe there's no subtitles in the movie, or if there are, I don't remember them. So this is not unusual. And they, you know, and one of the things I really appreciate about this movie, knowing people that are veterans, knowing people that have served, is the kind of gallows humor. The two Americans kill the guys, and they're like, what did they say? And they come up with some shitty joke. This happens throughout the movie, and talking to people who have served, talking to people who have seen action, this is a thing. You have to dissociate, otherwise you're going to lose your shit. For something that is this heinous, you know, killing someone, you can't be like, yes, I killed a man. And, like, not make a joke about it. Otherwise, you're going to fucking go... Like, you have to be able to disassociate or, you know, see a therapist or both.
Yeah. It's not... I'm going to slightly correct you.
Okay.
It's not dissociate. You need a guard.
Sure.
You can't have perfect empathy if you just shot someone.
Yep. So, that moment happens. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Whatever. You know, it fits. So, somebody did deep dive. They are not speaking German. Those are people who are speaking Czech, because it was common in World War II for people to be integrated into the Nazi army that were not German nationals or even Nazis themselves. And they were forced to work there as, you know, being taken over by Germany. You know, they were men of age. They need people to fight in two big battles on two big fronts. They need bodies. And so these guys come out speaking Czech and they're saying, we're not Nazis. Please don't shoot us.
Oof.
It's like, yeah, that was a thing. It happened. Somewhere in the war, maybe not on the beach, it happened. And to integrate that and do it so seamlessly that, you know, like the way the fight on the beaches went, all the stuff that's happening, it's, you know, it's realism at its finest isn't necessarily the right word, but definitely most harrowing.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Steven. Fucking asshole.
We hate it. Yeah.
What about you, Brosenkowski? What do you got that really got you going?
I really like the fight in the hotel with Atomic Blonde. Because there's one quality about it that it goes, if you don't know to look for it, you don't notice it. And it is that everybody involved gets less coordinated the longer it goes.
Yep.
As somebody who has been beaten to shit, that happens. Your pacing is off. Your hands get slow. You get sluggish. You can't balance well, so you're not on your toes anymore. You're flat-footed. You fucking shamble around. And everything becomes harder. It becomes less punching, more pushing, more grabbing. Like, because you want someone to balance on, basically.
As time goes on in the fight, you both reduce backwards in your fighting capability. You go from fighting as an adult to fighting as a child.
Yes, exactly. Like, that's funny, but that's very true.
Yeah.
Like, and so just the more beat to fucking shit everyone ends up getting, it's less finessed punching, kicking, and more clawing, pushing, kind of throwing into furniture, smacking with a vase, you know. It's this awkward, and it's ugly, and it's so good. It's like, yeah, no, if you're fucking concussed and exhausted, you're not throwing a clean punch. You're just kind of throwing your arm at them and hoping it connects, or like you're just picking up something and throwing it at them in the hopes that it hits. Like, that's so true. Because like I mean, in my black belt test, fuck punching, how? Like when you're just beat to shit, it's ugly. It just is. So, mad respect for that fight.
Yeah, It is really good. It's also to add to like it. This makes sense now that you said this. It's a oneer. It was done in one take. It's a 10-minute unbroken cut. There are
Yeah.
no breaks, which makes sense and helps lead to the realism of
Yeah.
that
Also,
ending thing where they're so tired. It's like, yeah, because they were fucking tired because they were just really
yeah.
doing that. And so,
Also, as someone who's done that to a degree, fighting for 10 minutes is exhausting.
yes,
Fighting for 2 minutes is exhausting. Yeah, 10 is a long time.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't seem like it. I can go running for 10 minutes. Yeah, go fight for 10 minutes. Have somebody hold on to you for 10 minutes.
it's like having somebody run against you while you're running for 10
Yes.
minutes.
It's you're fighting someone else's body weight and your own.
Yep.
It's just Anyways, our grand finale, because what is a good fight without spectacular visuals?
Not a fight.
Shut up. Um,
Yeah, that's a question I was just answering.
so what have you got as your spectacularly visual fight?
To be fair, I have not seen this in a hot minute, but my recollection is that the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, Mines of Moria fight is just all-time banger for me. I remember watching this when it came out, going to theaters, and just being blown away at the scale, at the fight, at like everything it sets up, and the fact that when it finishes, it's not done. Just so much of that, and the gravitas, the way they shot it, the way it's dark but everything's well lit. All of it just kind of comes together to form this moving piece of evil art. And you've got like this, you've got a cave troll. As Sean likes to say, they brought a cave troll.
So cavalier about
You've
it.
got Legolas being an awesome archer, but in a confined space at not stupid distances. So it's before it starts jumping the shark of like he's basically matrixing arrows. And it's just you kind of love to see it. It just like works in all these different angles and ways, and it's just awesome. And it's just so visually stunning. And so much of the time in movies then and now, when it's shot in dark, you lose track of things. Things get harder to see. But with the way they set up the scene, which very much was intentional, is that there was a good light source, is that we're going to be able to see everything. It's not so big that you get lost. It's not so small that it's claustrophobic. They pick the right amount of space, 2 levels. You got a guy using a pot and a pan because that's what he fucking knows because he's a hobbit and all they do is fucking eat and get
That's what
high.
he's got on his person.
Yeah. Samwise is a man about town. He knows that you need a pot and a pan wherever you go. And it's just like the way it all works together. You've got it's not a Deus Ex that Frodo lives. There's all these little things that play perfectly so you get this awesome canvas at the end.
Yeah.
What about you, bro? What really just got your eye?
It is never an episode if I can't find an excuse to talk about Avatar. Keep
Eli,
theme
the
alive.
Avatar dropper Sears.
Yeah, what a fucking surprise. But in all seriousness, the end fight between Aang and Ozai is awesome in the literal meaning of that word. Everything they do from how it's animated is just gorgeous. The scope they use from time to time, because they'll just back up and you'll just see shit happening, and people are look like bugs, and the amount of area they're affecting is enormous.
Mm-hmm.
And just the set piece they use is so cool, and it has 2 very distinct phases, where it is Aang versus Ozai, and then the Avatar versus Ozai.
Yeah.
And they're very different fights. Because like Aang, God bless him, he's trying. He's a 12-year-old kid, and he's fighting against the strongest firebender with the meteor powering him up, or the comet powering him up. So he's basically fighting the second strongest person alive.
Yeah.
And he does
He's
okay.
doing okay. He's given
He
it
holds his
a
own.
college try.
It's not a wash.
Yeah.
It's not a win, though.
No.
And then when the Avatar state comes back to it, which I hadn't thought about, but you spend so long being denied watching it, like you don't get to see it the entire 3rd season because he's locked out of it. It comes back for this one moment. That's it. And it's so cool. Because then Ozai is suddenly just... He doesn't get to fight anymore. He gets to run. That is his only choice. Otherwise, he dies.
Run or die, bitch.
Yeah, and that's... It's so cool seeing go from Ozai as this arrogant, pompous ass, which he is, to just terrified. Because just suddenly this realization, I'm out of my fucking league.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah, just
Picked
like,
a fight with a god. Time to
I'm
leave.
fighting a force of nature. Oh dear Jesus. Like,
What have I done?
yeah, and unlike Azula, he doesn't want to cheat. Like, Azula is worse, I think, than Ozai, because she's willing to cheat and play dirty. Ozai...
I don't know if there's dirty to be played there.
No. But, like, the only time that Aang loses an Avatar state is because Azula shoots lightning at him from the back.
Sure.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, she's willing to be duplicitous like that and kind of cheat.
Mm-hmm.
Ozai doesn't get the choice, and I don't think he would if he could. He's very upfront.
Sure.
In
That's
a sense. It's like, you never win this. It's not close. It's not a contest. And it's so dope. His little gyroscope is so cool. It's like a little fucking gyroscope. He flies around and just wrecks shit up.
A helicopter of death.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it's just so cool. Like, I don't know. I like Legend of Korra. The Avatar state is not the same to me when it doesn't have the tattoos to light up. Like,
Yeah. It's just the
Yeah.
eyeballs.
it's just the eyes. Like, it's impactful, but the the arrow tattoos being lit up is just so dope.
Yeah. And
Anyway.
yeah. That's our list. Feel free to hit us if we
Missed one.
if we
that
missed
we
one
definitely
at-
should have had on the list.
like Ike's at Twitter or superprosbros@gmail.com. That's superprosebros@gmail.com. And let us know why we're dum-dums. Or why we nailed it, if we did. So I feel like we did.
We'll call him A. We'll call him B.
And we're going to throw it to little column C as we go to our commercial break. See you in a bit.
Seamless.
Do you wish that you could engage in reckless acts of wanton violence? Do you wish that you had the confidence and constitution of a Navy SEAL? Do you wish that criminal liability was wildly subjective? If those ring true, action movies might just be for you. With plenty of morally questionable motives and plots that sacrifice substance for style and explosions, action movies appeal to those basal urges that make us want to make things go boom. So what are you waiting for, killer? The day isn't going to save itself.
And welcome back, everybody. So, Isaac, what y'all been working on?
So I am just getting off of, a huge magic, 2-month slab of,
Bender.
playtesting. So I haven't been able to write anything, but I am very excited next week to get back to writing at least an hour a day and working on more Magician's Academy. However, they did have this idea a while back. I thought of a really fucking cool log line. I'm very proud of it. It's called Prep Boy in the Hood. It's very much a working title. So imagine, if you will, the kind of, family, going to visit a strange family in a different kind of way, different kind of scene. So think the inverse of, for this case, think of the inverse of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Instead of going from broke to Bell End, you're going from Bellevue to the Bottoms. This is a kid that, I imagine he went to a prep school, has nice clothes, and he's going to visit, for whatever reason, he's going to go visit his family. I don't know if this is like a punishment, if he wanted to go see his cousin, whatever. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Sure.
Visits cousin, very much a goody good boy. The police are on his side. Everything's sunshine and rainbows.
Sure.
And he's hanging out. And what he doesn't realize initially, and becomes very familiar with, is that his cousin is in a gang. And that he's in this town, and it's very much playing by a different set of rules. They don't, you don't talk to the cops. You don't do this. You don't do that. But he isn't fully aware of that. He starts to think he gets the idea, and being a smart, precocious boy, as most of the characters are pulling from self-reference, gets in a situation where he thinks he understands the rules, and is very wrong. Ends up seeing a crime go down, knows that there are two gangs, that the person that did it was not in his cousin's gang and wants to help out. So he tells the cops. What he doesn't realize is there was a truce between the two gangs, and that was strictly verboten, and that what he ends up doing is inciting a war again. My logline for this that I'm very proud of is sometimes doing the right thing isn't the right thing to do. Notes. Thoughts.
I think you talked about this last time.
No, I didn't.
You sure?
No, I talked about New Kid in Town. I had them listed differently. So unless I listed the same thing
very
twice with two
familiar.
different titles.
I think you might have.
Oh, fuck me.
Because it sounds very familiar.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen. If I did, I'm sorry. Because I had this. Oh man, that's gonna really suck because I had them written down. I had two of them written down. Because this was before the episode. I didn't ooh, I haven't talked about this. It was literally in our show notes from last time because I had two ideas. So I really hope I didn't, because that means I had a different idea last time. I said this one and I cannot remember that one at all.
Oh no.
So I really hope you're wrong, but if you are, fuck! Oh man, please. I want to be right one time. That's usually not the case, but one time, please. Alright, while I cry and do research, Broskinkeski, what you got?
So I was thinking about the idea of common gaming expression, FF, go next. Like just forfeit, we're done, go to the next one.
Sure.
So, what if you could do that in reality? If you knew you could reincarnate, and you just went, life is a wash, let's try again. And you could basically suicide and reset.
So kind of like the reverse of Click.
Yeah, kind of. And so at what point would you just kind of go, would you start to see a trend that you're always going to run into problems and you can't run from them? Like, how many times do you have to see problems before you go, I need to stop running. I just need to face it, to deal with it, to confront it, because I can reset infinitely. There's always going to be something wrong. There's going to be some kind of conflict that I simply cannot avoid. So it's
got a lot of great metaphorical resonance too.
Very nascent stage, but it's an interesting kind of concept of why not to bow out versus why to bow out, and what is the benefit of perseverance versus avoidance.
No, like that has a great kind of metaphorical resonance though, of the best stories tell a story in a way that are not telling you directly a life lesson, but that you from within you find one, right?
Yeah.
And this one has a great one of when is the juice worth the squeeze? How, sometimes it's better to face adversity rather than skirt around it. Honestly, personally, one of my biggest lessons that I wish I learned sooner is just being this sucks. Let's do this. This sucks. Let's beat it. How do I get better? Not how do I, kind of weasel my way out of it, figure out a way around it. Yeah. So many of my problems in life are that, 10 years ago, I didn't learn how to do this skill. I didn't learn how to overcome adversity. I figured out how to dodge it. Which is a skill, but it's not one that is as useful as overcoming it. Because you can only go around the problem so many times before you run into a problem that is just paramount to going through.
Agree.
Sorry, I don't mean to be boring you with my life lessons.
Oh my god, shut up.
Speaking of things that weren't boring, what you been watching recently?
I started late to this show, but the show Jujutsu Kaisen.
Not that late. It's only one season deep, right?
I thought it was 2.
I mean, early.
Anyway, I've heard good things about it. I was looking for a new show to watch while working out, and I gave it a shot. And I knew it was. I'm getting into shonen. We're getting into weird, wacky anime power bullshit. I was like, all right, brace yourself, Eli. It's surprisingly coherent, in that regard. And while it does have plenty of wacky, wild anime bullshit go, it's really fun. Like it's a lot of fun. It has surprisingly good humor. Like,
Yep.
I
It's got it might have one of my favorite like teacher characters ever. Too.
oh yeah, Gojo Sensei is wonderful. That guy's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, by far
He's
the best part of the
He's also
show.
hilariously OP.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's great.
I finally got to a point because I just started and got to see him actually fight, and it's just like, what
Dicks.
the fuck? Like,
Dicks.
yeah,
Everybody.
at one point, he just teases a guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like, here, come here, let me show you. Let me show you what I'm doing, because I know you can't beat it. Come here,
Come here. Watch all. Are you
Yeah,
talking about
it's-
like the Mount Fuji guy?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I just watched.
the way they
Come here.
cartoon him up when he's like,
Yeah.
hara.
Hara.
It's so fucking great.
Squish.
Just-
It's like, yeah, you can't touch me,
Yeah.
literally.
I'm gonna show
Like,
off because oh my
What are you gonna fucking
yeah,
do
it's
about
like
it?
you're weak. And he just like straight up calls him you're weak and senses the guy to his own demise. So,
Yeah,
like,
the dude just loses his shit. He just, yeah, like I kind of appreciate that he's so OP and he kind of knows it.
Yeah.
And I also appreciate that like villains know it too. Like one of the ways, like the only way we win is we get rid of him somehow. Like
Exactly.
we have to because this shit happens.
Yeah.
So-
he's like the way a lot of goats are at most things is they're not like humble. They're not a dick about like it's this cavalierness that comes from being the only person on a horse. You're just like, yeah, I'm better than you. Like I'm not gonna like I'm gonna fuck around because I know you can't fuck with me. I'm not gonna be like mean or rude to you, but I am going to be a bit of a dick. Because like it's hard to not be. It's like human nature. It's just like
Yeah.
lovely to see it in such a cartoonish fashion. It's gas.
Yeah. It's got good humor. It's got pretty good. Like its animation is actually really good.
Its animation is fire. I think its animation is like it's up there with
Demon Slayer.
yeah, Demon Slayer.
I don't think it's quite as good, but it's very good animation.
I think it's a little less like Demon Slayer has two different plates basically.
Yeah.
And this one doesn't, so it's like a little bit different. I can see it being considered better or worse. I think it's up to personal
would
preference.
I would compare it to like Fire Force in terms of animation.
It's a little
kinda
bit cleaner
quality.
than Fire Force for me, but sure.
Okay.
I think Fire Force is like very good looking, but Fire Force can like it gets a little. There's some of the fight sequences that if you pause the frame, you're like, what the fuck? Like I don't think you do that if you pause Jujutsu at all. It's just like,
Wait, Jujutsu. It's not Jujutsu.
Jujutsu.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry, Jujutsu Kaisen.
that matters. What
Sure.
is a martial art? What is magic?
Sure. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're both magic, but sure.
I just yeah.
Yes,
I was,
yeah.
I was wondering because I kept hearing him
Jujutsu
like
Kaisen. Sorry, it's
yeah.
I'm not used to saying that word. What I am used to saying is singing the praises of Ted Lasso, and sadly, this is the last time I get to do so because I just finished watching season 3 with our editor the other day, and it's all over now. No mas. It is finito. Makes me sad, heavy heart, but also ended it pretty darn good. I kind of feel like they wanted a fourth season, and that potentially 2/3 of the way through the season, they got informed of like the writer's strike and that this was going to be the last season, and so they might have had to do some changes. The way I was talking with our editor was that it was like an 8.5 out of 10, as opposed to like every other season I feel like is a 10. I feel like this one kind of
Phoned it in on some things.
uh
Maybe not the right term, but
fumble isn't the right term either. It just kind of, this is the kind of way I was thinking about it when we were coming to the episode today, is that they had this piece prepared that, let's say they're an orchestra. They have this amazing piece prepared that's going to last 10 minutes. And they get about 5 to 6 minutes into it, and they get informed that the venue is closing in 2 minutes. And so they had to take the last 4 minutes and turn it into 2 minutes. Feels a little rushed, feels a little uncoordinated. I think it would have played better with more time. Maybe. I think some of the stuff I'm a little perplexed. There's 2 decisions in particular that I'm a little like eyebrow raise, like neck turn at the way they were executed. They might have been better with another season. There was a couple things that were left on the factory floor that I thought they were going to utilize differently, and they just kind of like left it there, which is fine. Sure. I mean, one of the best parts about the show is its life. The kind of idea that like, yeah, this is stuff that happens. This is, this is trying to be an idyllic form of reality in many ways.
But it's still very real.
It's still very real. And so a lot of the things that happen when you're like, wait, why is that? It's like, well, I mean, that's humans. So much of the way the show works is this like idyllic reality where human beings interact correctly. They have a problem, they ask a question, they go to the person, they go, what the fuck? And so that's a lot of the show, but there are still plenty of other characters that are just human. And so things just happen and life just happens. Yeah. But I think the way there's like a couple arc resolutions that were like a little like, okay, I guess, and I think this has to do with like the groundwork that was laid for it. It was so perfect. And then to end without perfection, which is granted nigh impossible to do, but it kind of left like when you're mono bangers up until then, to end on that, you're like, I mean, any other show I'd been like, fuck yeah. But for this show, it was like, all right, I guess. Definitely wasn't bad. No shade being thrown at the writers or the people who did it. It wasn't bad. It just didn't live up to maybe my expectation or what had come before as well as I had hoped, is probably the way I'd say it. So again, show overall is a 10. I would recommend it to everyone. I think it's, even with the ending being not what I wanted, I still think it's like one of the best shows that's ever existed, especially for the zone it's in. But the third season was the worst by still being better than most shows you'll ever watch. Yeah. And it does some amazing things in the third season that I think are still very good. Like a lot of the third season is really good. I think the ending is like fine, where the rest of the show was stupendous. So,
sure.
Yeah. 10 out of 10 would again. Wasn't Escaflowne ending level of fuck me, but
yeah, we don't talk about that.
Didn't happen. Wasn't real.
It's fake.
Things that are real that I can't believe are. We got a fucking new Quatsa album, my boy.
I know. Out of fucking left field.
In Times New Roman. Love the title. Love it.
Good title.
Last 2 titles have been bangers.
Or
last 3 titles?
Villains.
This title and 2 titles before, I guess. ... Like Clockwork and In Times New Roman are two of my favorite album titles in a hot minute. But only gotten to, as it has dropped very recently, only gotten to listen to a couple songs.
Same.
Loving it.
I like what I hear. It sounds more like Queens of the Stone Age to me than Villains did.
Yeah, there's a couple tracks I like off Villains, but by and large, Villains felt a little bit like an experiment. Not a bad one, but definitely an experiment.
Yeah, it just sounded like Mark Ronson wanted to have influence.
Yeah, and he did. And it was, one of my favorite tracks of theirs is from that album. Evil Has Landed is one of my favorite tracks of all time. Song fucking destroys. But, it doesn't sound like most of the rest of their discography. Where In Times New Roman is a little bit of a return to that. So, very excited to, while working out this week, listen to In Times New Roman.
Well, I think that about does it for us.
That's a wrap, folks.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And if you enjoyed it, please feel free to
like,
comment,
share,
and subscribe.
but don't forget that new episodes of Super Pros Bros come out. Did I say Super Froze Bros? But don't forget, new episodes of Super Pros Bros come out the first and third Saturday of every month. Bye.
Bye.